Hey, what's up? This your man Tony Wiggins with another edition of Locked On Jaguars. I got a strange feeling that Urban Meyer and his crew are falling into a rut, a familiar rut that none of us want to see around here in terms of how they go about doing business. I'm going to tell you what that is on a Wednesday edition of Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jags, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, man, welcome to another edition of Locked On Jaguars. Let me just get right to it, man. I'm going to let you know what I'm going to talk about today. I was up at like midnight till like 2 in the morning, and I'm watching some of the things that are going on with the Jags, and I'm just thinking, this isn't the same old, is it? Are they making errors in trying to do things a certain way? I'm going to give you some examples of what I'm talking about on today's show. And I didn't feel good. I didn't feel real good about it. So just in case you guys are wondering, I'm going to let you know exactly what those things are that I was talking about or that I am talking about. And I'm trying to get comfortable in this chair right here. But my deal is, I'm noticing a trend that I think they have to break, and I think they have to not do this so much. And it reminds me a little bit of the Gus Bradley regime, and I know nobody wants to hear that. So I'm going to tell you exactly what those things are that are really getting on my nerves a little bit, and it's starting to, like I say, appear to be a trend that I think needs to be gotten away from and that needs to be broken. Ask yourself this, and this is what we'll ponder in segment 2. If there were things that Urban could do over, what would they be? What do you think if there's a scenario, and I don't know if it is or not, but if there's a scenario of things that Urban Meyer can do over, what would they be? Now, I want you to tell me things that he wouldn't do, that he did in segment 2, and things that he didn't do that he should have done in segment 3. So I'm going to give you what mine are, but I'm going to let you guys think about it. And then I want you to hit me up on Twitter after you hear this podcast at Shop Talking Wig. I want to remind you that we're on YouTube also. So check out the YouTube video for those who are not watching on YouTube. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And the other thing that I'm going to tell you is we're free on all platforms. And this should be your first listen every day. And I think it is for a lot of people because I get so many messages, man, when you dropping the pod, and I have to give out some kind of indication when it's coming because for me, my schedule is so off that it changes a little bit on a daily. And if you notice on a Wednesday, I do the Locked On NFL show with James Rapine, and that one usually comes out super early. And I want to give you guys a chance to digest that before I hit you with the daily pod on Wednesday. And then sometimes I'm waiting for news to break. Like I recorded the other day, and then after I recorded, they traded C.J. Henderson, so I would have liked to have brought you that first. But I still love the fact that I'm your first listen every day, and we enjoy being your first listen every day because you don't have to pay for it for one. You can just come on here on Locked On Jaguars and all across the Locked On Podcast Network and get this content for free. All right, so let's get into it. What are the things that I'm thinking that reminds me of the past? And I think I hope it's a trend that ends because it's something that I think can be a bit of a mistake. What that is this: not knowing that you need stuff until you don't have it. You heard me? I'll repeat. Not knowing that you need stuff until you don't have it, until it becomes painfully obvious, as opposed to having your finger on the pulse of the team. And you guys, anyone who's heard me on radio before when I was doing radio, anyone who's heard me during these podcasts, you know how I have a pet peeve of guys not having their finger on the pulse of their team. You're with them every day. It's your job. It's the job of your scouts if you pay attention to them, and that's another story. But it's the job of your coaches to not come in and say how you want to be and what you want to be, but have an idea of who and what you want to be, but also know who you are. And then don't go out and expect things to happen that you know shouldn't be able to happen. You can't play want to doesn't help you. Who you are and getting the best out of what you have helps you. So here's some examples. The Jaguars went all off season and to the point where it appeared that they weren't even prioritizing the tight end position because they were letting Tebow try out and all of this stuff, and they had all of this money, and they didn't go out and sign anybody in free agency at the tight end position. And then the last 2 weeks, what have they done? They traded C.J. Henderson for a third-round pick and a tight end that they can believe that can help them. And then last week, they acquired another tight end, and he started the game. A dude that walked off the street started the game over guys that you had in training camp all year or all summer. So you're saying, Wig, there's nothing wrong with admitting that you have mistakes or that you made mistakes. There's nothing wrong, man. There's nothing wrong with you realizing that, okay, what you don't have isn't good enough and you need to go get something else. All right, so let me explain this to you. Anything that you can go pick up at this point ain't going to help you that much anyway. I'll repeat it again. The NFL isn't built like that. Folks don't just have stuff hanging around that can absolutely help you unless you're a certain situation like the Bucs signing Richard Sherman, a Hall of Famer who has some injuries, he's getting older, but that's like a really, really good spot for him, right? The Jaguars had all off season. In fact, they passed up on Pratt Freiermuth, or however you say his name, in the draft. It's amazing to me they had all off season to go out and get veteran tight ends, but yet and still they had a guy in camp who hadn't played in 8 years. The optics on this don't look good, man. This reminds me of Otto, Leo, and all of this stuff. So now let's go get a guy who fits that role. Signing Philip Dorsett and then going and getting Tavon Austin. And so that means you want a little small itty bitty guy that can run, right? So now what you're doing is you're clamoring for speed. When in the offseason you had all the resources to go and get as many fast people as you could, but you didn't do it. So now you're complaining that you're slow. And now you're trying to find speed anywhere. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they signed Noel Devine or somebody, because you want guys so bad that had speed. Right? It almost looks like a scavenger hunt for anybody that can run fast, as opposed to good scouting. And then you design stuff where you need guys who are fast, but you don't have them. So therefore, you're just going to try to make it fit until it works. Let me tell you what I've noticed that good coaches do. Good coaches coach whatever they have until they get what they want. And they build a winning culture doing it that way. You whatever you got, let's find a way to win until we can get what we want or improve. Don't sit here trying to make things fit just because, well, we need a fast guy, so I'm going to go sign Philip Dorsett because he was fast coming out of high school. Oh, we need a fast guy, so I'm going to get Tavon Austin. Man, he used to be fast at West Virginia, despite the fact that these dudes really haven't done anything in the NFL. Well, we need an athletic tight end who can catch. So 2 weeks in a row, we're going to find a guy and we're going to plug him in. Career journeyman. This is a trend that they have to stop. They really got to trust their scouts. They have to. Or get some scouts that you trust. But this grab for, let's just see what works. Let's see here. Let me get this guy. I like Jordan Smith, but I remember somebody told me, and I shared it with everyone on this podcast, that Urban wanted a 6'6" inline player, 6'6", 250-pound inline, and they went out and drafted Jordan Smith. No, I like Jordan Smith. Okay, he's a good developmental prospect, but the thing is what makes his pick look bad is, one, you telegraphed it to people. Two, you went and got a guy who fit a profile, an athletic profile, as opposed to going out and get a guy who put a lot of stuff on tape that you like. As soon as you draft him, you say, well, he's down the line. He has to gain weight. He has to lift weights. But you traded multiple picks to move up to get him. What makes that pick so questionable is the two guys you got in front of him in the second and third round, you ain't playing them either. You don't redshirt people in the NFL. Because instead of this being – the fans and the folks would understand the development process if they were on the field right now and they were learning lessons. But they're going to have to learn those lessons in year 2. So that's a whole nother year that you're trying to figure out if those are the guys. They're going to end up franchise tagging Cam Robinson again, because they're not going to have a left tackle to protect. They're not going to have a proven left tackle to protect Trevor Lawrence unless at some point they start dressing and you see what you got and walk a little. Now, if the problem they have is they know what they have and it's not good enough, then he shouldn't have been the second round pick. Period. Nothing against him. It's just that the NFL doesn't work that way. If next year is their rookie year and they learn their lessons their rookie year, well, that's 2 years you got where the team is experimenting and basically developing stuff and not winning games. By that third year, a lot of these dudes that you signed to these 3-year contracts are free agents. So you better have replacements for them too by that third year, because even if you're good, the guys that you signed who were 26 will be 29. This doesn't make sense to keep coming up with this formula where you're taking it slow on one end, but now when you wake up in the morning and you realize you don't have what you have or you don't have what you want, now you're just plugging guys in. You're going out. There's no reason on this earth that you ought to have a tight end in week 3 that you didn't even have in training camp as your starter, and then have a different tight end in week 4 that wasn't even on your team in week 3, and now he's the starter. That's on you. That is a reflection on this administration. So that being said, what have they done that they wish they could do again? What have the Jaguars done that if you were Urban Meyer and you were and you could give Urban Meyer some truths here, what do you think he'd say? What do you think he'd say? I'm going to tell you what he'd say, in my opinion, in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. After I let you know about betonline.ag, betonline.ag is back and better than ever. All eyes on the gridiron as the teams are back to start another football season in the NFL. And then this Saturday, this SEC action, man, I'm telling you, those point spreads, you better watch them real close because there's some big games this week coming up in the Southeastern Conference. So as always, BetOnline is your number one spot for all of the pro and college action you want to bet on this football season. Now, here's what you got to do. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 100% welcome bonus. That's double your initial deposit just for signing up. Don't forget to use the promo code Locked On. That's right. The promo code is Locked On. From football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. It's BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. And don't forget that promo code is Locked On. Jaguar fans, listen up real close because I'm going to tell you something. I have an incredible app that you need if you're buying gas for your vehicle and you want to save money. It's called Get Upside. And listeners are making up to 25 cents for every gallon of gas every time they fill up. Just download the Get Upside app in the App Store or on Google Play right now and use the promo code Touchdown. Now, here's what's going to happen when you use that promo code. You're going to save an additional 25 cents on your first gallon when you fill up. That's 50 cents off on that's cash back now on your first gallon of gas, and then 25 cents for every gallon after that when you download the Get Upside app and use the promo code Touchdown. You might as well save you some money, man. And anytime you're ready to get that cash from that cash back, you can send that right to your account or to your PayPal, or you can use an e-card or Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use the promo code Touchdown to get up to 50 cents a gallon cash back on your first tank. That's Touchdown on the Get Upside app that you can download from the App Store or Google Play right now. All right, we're rolling along here, man. Locked On Jaguars. Talking about if the Jaguars should go back and have some do-overs. Now, don't let nobody tell you that they don't have no do-overs or they wouldn't have that. Yeah, they do, because they wouldn't be picking these dudes up. They're not filling these roster spots weekly because of injuries, okay? They're not. They're filling them because they realize we're not good enough at these positions. And that's fine that you can humble yourself and acknowledge that, but you're also kind of the people that's responsible for it, because Urban Meyer isn't coaching based on players that somebody else picked for him. He's coaching based on players that he picked for himself, at least the guys he got this offseason. And they did a lot of turnover. They did a whole lot of turnover, okay? So just like we'll give them credit for Jamal Agnew, we'll give them credit for that. We're going to beat up on them for some other stuff that they didn't do. Let me ask you this. Now, I'm sure they'll tell you they're happy with Tyson Campbell because Tyson Campbell, he played okay the other day, and he was one of the reasons that they said that they could move on from C.J. Henderson and trade him to Carolina for Dan Arnold. So would you, if you were Urban Meyer, not draft Tyson Campbell, but draft Asante Samuel? I can tell you right now, they probably wouldn't, because Trent Baalke loves big players. He won't draft an undersized guy. I was told that. Don't even think he's going to draft anybody that doesn't fit the profile who's smaller than the NFL average, right? So that leads this question. If you're Urban Meyer and you had a chance to do it over again, would you convince Shad Khan to get you another GM instead of Trent Baalke? I damn sure would. I thought he should have been gone last year. I didn't want anything from that previous regime. Nothing. I love getting pros and getting guys that have been around and leaning on them. But, there's some people that approach things a certain way that I don't think it works anymore. Putting yourself in a box with the type of guys you're getting is a problem. Would you draft Walker Little at 45, or would you get the tight end in Pittsburgh, Pat Freiermuth? Would you have spent more money or made a bigger attempt to get Jonnu Smith or Hunter Henry? Would you have kept Josh Oliver and at least just took a look-see? And if your strength and performance program is so good, even though he had been hurt for 2 straight years, see if you can fix why. I'm nodding my head yes. That's exactly what you do. You can talk about all of the compensation that they're getting, all the mid-round draft choices that they're getting. If they're going to draft guys that they're going to continue to redshirt, it's going to take 75 years for this team to ever be any good. And I don't know if you've seen Urban Meyer. He ain't got that long. That half of us don't either. Now, they've shown some improvement on the field. The way that they played against Arizona was typically the way that I expected them to play when I picked them to beat Houston. That's the way they played in week 3 was the way I thought they'd play, minus the fact that Trevor didn't have a whole bunch of yards. But this is the way I thought they'd play. If they played Houston the way they played Arizona the other day, they probably would have won the game. So that shows that there is some improvement. But my expectation was never for them to be terrible. My expectation was for them to be around 500. So I'm not going to sit here and start giving people credit for doing what I kind of thought that they were going to do in the first place. The first 2 weeks, I thought they were awful, and I was shocked that they were so bad. So, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and give them credit, but think of some of the things that they did that you would have done differently. One of them is keeping Trent Baalke. To me, that's just my opinion. I don't think he would have chosen Darrell Bevell if he could go back and pick that all over again. I definitely don't think that's the case. I think they would have drafted some guys differently and been more aggressive in free agency for super talented players and fast guys. You didn't even hear about them going after people. I would have given Trent Williams so much money, it would have made his head spin. Now, I don't know if Trent Williams would have left San Francisco, but I think when you have that much money, you got to be a bully. And it's not to say that the line hasn't played well. They played pretty good. Run blocking. The pass blocking, the statistics aren't there because Trevor's mobile and he gets rid of the football. But that's what they're supposed to do. He's supposed to get rid of the football. So I'm not going to sit here and cast aspersions on the offensive line. Although that's one of the things that I said that I would have done differently. They're kind of playing better than we all expected. So let's get to segment 3. And in segment 3, we just talked about some of the things that they did that they should have done. Do you think that there are more things that they didn't do that they should have? And do you think they learned their lesson? And what are we looking forward to next year? And how are they going to possibly start to proceed? Like if you're Urban Meyer right now, you could get in his head. What would you do differently? And that'll give you some idea. If you could imagine what he would say, it will give you some idea of what you think he will do moving forward to make this team more competitive and more talented, because I got a feeling they're going to lose tomorrow and they're going to come out and be 0-4. So I ain't got no surprise. There it is. I don't think they're going to win this game. The Bengals are putting people in the Ring of Honor for the first time. It's just setting up to not be a good situation for Jacksonville up there. It's a short week. They're transitioning from one game to the other. They're going to be putting in a new tight end and all of this stuff. Where Cincinnati's good, Jacksonville isn't necessarily good. So I have more of that on the crossover tomorrow with James Rapine from Locked On Bengals. But think about it. Think about this as we ponder what we're going to say in segment 3. What direction can they go in now? And how do you think the things that he did or didn't do would factor in the way that they're going to go moving forward? I'm going to tell you right now, they ain't making the playoffs. Okay? They ain't going to make the playoffs. I want to tell you about Built Bar, man. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar ever. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to eat one of those cookie dough chunks that Built Bar sent me. They got me cheating on my favorite, which is salted caramel. But that's all right, man. I'll get back to it. And you can do the same and find out which one is your favorite flavor. And while you have a limited time offer, order that cookie dough chunk. And you can do that at BuiltBar.com and use the promo code LOCK15. And you're going to get 15% off of your first order. If you're trying to eat right, man, the macros for this are outstanding. Anywhere between 17 and 18 grams of protein, somewhere between 130 to 180 calories. I had to say that slow because some people thought I was saying something else. And only 4 or 5, not 425, because you thought I was saying 45, 4 or 5 grams of sugar and very low calories. So go to BuiltBar.com, use the promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off of your first order. Check them out on Twitter also if you want to visualize and see the product that I'm talking about. At @bar_built is where you can do that on Twitter. All right, third and final segment. Here's what I got. And we thank you again for being your first listen here on Locked On Jaguars because that's what we love to do. I'm going to tell you who your second listen is too. I'll give you that right as we get ready to close the show. But asking Urban Meyer what it is that he would do over, what it is that he did that he wouldn't do, and what it is that he didn't do that he would do. A lot of these things, they kind of intersect a little bit, but we're hypothetically asking these questions because if he would answer that, what that would do is give you high insight as to where he thinks he needs to go and the things that he needs to do moving forward. Here's what the problem is with the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars thought like me. I think they thought they were better than they really are on the field. Because, with him making a statement like you're playing Alabama every week, bro, he ain't seen Alabama yet. What if you had to play the Dallas Cowboys in their regular season offense? What if you had to play Tom Brady and the Bucs? What if you had to play Kansas City when they get their act together? What if you had to go up against Lamar Jackson? So I would say what he's seen so far this year, Arizona is decent and Denver is also undefeated, but nobody thinks that they're one of the greatest teams. What happens when you see Aaron Rodgers? What about the New Orleans defense? What happens when you really, really see the Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State versions of the NFL? You haven't seen that yet, bro. You've seen Kentucky. You've seen Iowa. That's what you've seen so far. So as they improve and as they get better, ask yourself, or hypothetically sort of see yourself asking Urban Meyer, what didn't you do that you wish you would have done? Give Trevor Lawrence more reps in training camp? Not let go of Rojas out of training camp and allow that kicking competition with Josh Lambo to last a little longer? It is weird to me that he ended the kicking competition, but he kept the quarterback competition going on and on and on, keeping the team from getting an identity. But you come out of training camp with the understanding that you need to run the ball more and you need to get J-Rob going, James Robinson. I think you would. Would you add more speed to your team through the draft and through free agency? I think you would. Would you know, based on training camp, that Caleb Vaughn wasn't your best option to start at Sam linebacker? I think you would. Would you trade C.J. Henderson during training camp and possibly get a first or a second round draft pick for him? I think he could have. because teams' opinion of CJ Henderson had not dipped to the point where it is right now. And he would not have been a guy who's dealing with injuries. And it would not have been known that he wanted to get out of here. I think you drafting Tyson Campbell sort of told everybody that you were going to move on from CJ. And if that's the case, you got to be forward thinking, man, and get that done. You got to have your finger on the pulse of the team. So I know everybody's going to tell me, Wig, don't trip, just slow down and slow. I'm serious. Y'all got to understand, there's some things that none of this stuff is personal. So the hypothetical says that I'm not going to sit here and nitpick everything that he did or everything that he didn't do. I'm asking if you honestly could ask these questions. There's a chance that some of these answers that he tell you. We all do. We all backtrack sometimes on things. Hell, I wish I wouldn't have ate what I ate yesterday because I'm trying to eat better. I'm serious. I tell you what, man, you won't have to do a lot of second guessing. You see, you wouldn't do a lot of second guessing if you listen to the Locked On Bets podcast. Because if you listen to the Locked On Bet podcast, you're probably going to end up making some money when you go to betonline.ag. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q and handicapping expert Lee Sterling, should be your second listen of the day after your first listen, which is Locked On Jaguars. Go on there, man. They got all kinds of tips for you on that podcast, and that'll help you get yourself straight, especially for this betting weekend. There's nothing like hitting I love winning one game, but I love hitting a 3 or 14 parlay and getting paid a whole lot of money on one ticket because I was smart enough to listen to Locked On Bets. And you can do the same on the Locked On Bets podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, please hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to YouTube also to check out this Locked On Jaguars recording. I'm telling you, man, there's a trend. Remember my thinking. There's a trend that needs to stop here. And that is being so reactionary because you weren't proactive and you weren't smart with what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with reacting. But you need to be proactive and then react to that proaction as opposed to coming out here and feeling a team that's nothing like the one you want, but still trying to do it as if the team can do the things that you want. For instance, like I have no problem with people saying this. If the Whirlybird is a player, and we've seen examples of other teams and other linemen that have done it, that's fine. Just don't do it against J.J. Watt with Norwell. You got to know Norwell ain't – J.J. Watt is J.J. Watt. He ain't falling for no spin, especially a slow one. See, sometimes you got to wisen up, man, and you got to stop hustling backwards and killing yourself. Hopefully you learn. Hopefully they learn. We'll see as they go tomorrow. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for the crossover with my man James Rapine from Locked On Bengals. It's going to be a lot of fun. Until then, you guys keep taking care of each other, man, and doing the right thing. I'm Tony Wiggins here with Locked On Jaguars, and as always, we thank you for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow.